What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in, and this is a topic that is near and dear to your hearts. At least it's what it seems like based on the questions I've been getting about this topic, and that is my opinion on squat range of motion. Oh, I laugh because it's kind of a silly question. Like, why do people, before we even ask the question, answer it, try and be logical about a situation, like why do you guys care so much? Why is squat? I mean, I think it is because a lot of people squat in general, right? If you have your power lifter, you squat, your Olympic lifter, you squat. I guess it's one of those major movements you do, but there's also other major movements. No one talks about deadlift ever. Deadlift range of motion, never talked about. Bench range of motion, never talked about. Overhead press range of motion, never talked about. Dumbbell side raise range of motion, never talked about. The squat, most talked about. It's the most talked about exercise when it comes to range of motion, and the least resolved exercise when it comes to range of motion. My opinion is pretty simple. What's my take on it? I don't care. I just don't care. The squat is not a magical exercise. It is not some sort of exercise that is distinctly different in nature, at least in concept, than all other exercises to exist. It is not like this being or entity that we don't know enough of. We know about squats. We have research on squatting. We have understanding of the physics of squatting and torque angles and all this stuff of squatting. And at the end of the day, when you break it down, it's not like it's some magical exercise. So I don't understand why this is such a captivating topic, but I love to talk about it because it's funny. And why do I think it's funny? Well, I think it's hilarious because people love to talk about squatting as this thing that prepares you to do other things, right? So let's give an example. If I was on the street, I said, hey, you, over there, mister, come on over. I want you to run a marathon in 6 months. What do you think they're going to do? They're probably going to prepare themselves to run a marathon by running. Makes sense, and I kind of agree with it. You say, hey, you, over there. Pull someone else aside, and they say, hey, I want you to try and run as fast as you possibly can 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now. I don't care. Whatever the date is. They'll probably go, I should probably sprint a little bit. Awesome. You might go, hey, you, over there, come over. I want you to get ready to go play a sport where you change directions, you deal with ground impacts, move side to side. How are you going to do it? And they'll go, I think I'm going to squat. Why? That doesn't seem logical, and that's not the right answer. They probably wouldn't say that. Probably would say, I'm going to do some ground impacts and get ready for the handling the demands of my sport and my movement. And that probably makes sense. If I had a pie chart, a big pie chart of determinants of success, right? We had this pie chart, and you ever seen a pie chart? You probably obviously have seen a pie chart, I assume. You get different segments of it. And if I had to segment out what percent a squat player, not the muscles involved in the squat, don't you get my words twisted here, a squat, the ability to squat a lot or squat low or squat something, plays a role in their success. My guess, it's less than 1%. Less than 1% of the reason why they're successful has to do with their squatting. Maybe it's the technique they have in this sport, their genetics, maybe the actual motor potential, the physiological makeup of the muscles. Yes, the muscles can be trained by squatting, but the squat is not the only exercise that trains those muscles. it can be trained in other ways. So again, the squat is not magical. It is not innately into this thing that exists out there that is distinctly different from other things. And so knowing that and kind of breaking that down a little bit logically, why is the debate about range of motion? Right? I don't understand. People are focusing on an exercise that plays already a minimal role in explained variance of something or explained success. And now they're going to focus on the detailed intricacies of that exercise. Why? I guess you can do that. Go for it. What's my take? I use the squat because it's a way to overload their extensors of the lower body, specifically the knee. For hip extensors, I'd actually do something else. I think it's more of a knee, quads, knee extensor exercise. With that being the case, I don't care a ton about the depth if the depth gets away in their comfort and their ability to repeat it. If do other movements, I will use a squat and we'll go to a depth which we deem important, which is not important, they deem comfortable, and we can load, and it's going to train the knee extensors. If that movement happens to be a squat that satisfies those demands, then that's what I'm going to do. Makes sense, I think. But to argue as if squatting and bending your knee that much more is going to make you that much better at something is kind of ridiculous to think about. Right? Let's really be honest. Is it a good exercise? An exercise I use? Yes. It probably makes up. Oh, that's a good question. What % of my training does a squat make up? I like it as a good overload, so maybe, I don't know, 10 or less % of the actual loading we do. I guess if you count like bilateral split squats and Bulgarian split squats, part of that, I guess 10%, less than 10%. Maybe? I don't know. Good question. I mean, like, why aren't we arguing other things? Why don't you want to argue about plyometrics? Things they do in sport. Why don't you argue about, the ability to progress and regress and develop reflex pathways or prepare the tissues for impact demands or all these other things? At the end of the day, I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth arguing about. I don't know what would happen if you won an argument. What happens if you win the argument of squat depth? You are deemed correct. Are we going to go on to the next exercise? Apparently we've been having this argument for ages and nothing's been resolved. And now, are you going to go to the next exercise and win and once you win all the arguments on all the exercises, do you get a high five? You still have to answer to the clients you train and work with. Do you now get to train everybody? Do you win the award, the keys to the kingdom, and you get to train everybody now because you won this debate? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I'm kind of just ranting at this point because I think it's kind of hilarious. I mean, you can take it how you want and you can debate about it. And sure, it's good to debate things. It's good to have an opinion. I have an educated justification as to how and why we do our movements the way we do them. With my athletes I work with, I have a very, very niche realm. And that's okay. This is just my opinion and sharing some thoughts. I just don't know if it's really worth the debate. Like, what is the difference? Like, let's pretend the amount of effort and energy you have directed to this debate, and let's say we resolve it. We do say that one range of motion is superior, apparently, to the other. But how much more superior? Let's say it's only 3% or 2% more superior. Okay, yeah, it is better, but that energy and effort that you have exerted trying to figure that out, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? Was it really worth making a scooter, a little Razor scooter, go a little bit faster? Or would it be better off just trying to buy a motorcycle? I don't know. I'll leave it there. I hope you guys enjoy. I appreciate y'all listening. As always, take care.